Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will actually thank the mayor for his questions on park and rides because it will make my questions shorter. I have two, however. The first, through you to Ms. Ramsey, we heard you allude to surface parking at park and rides not being conducive to inward and upward. Why are we not talking about parking garages in these locations? Because honestly, not every transit rider is using transit for the entire length of their commute. Their car may be part of the commute and then the desire to get on the bus from there. So what are we looking at with that?
Through the chair, I'll pass this on to Mr. Fleming, but I think that in general, we are looking to try to find ways to do transit-oriented development that would mix uses and potentially build parking into those developments. But again, I'll pass that on to the city planner.
Mr. Chair, I should probably just say ditto. I think that Ms. Ramsey, she's absolutely right. And I would just point out that we're going through the process in Masonville of looking at that transit village right now and looking at the way that that can develop out and integrate parking, the actual transit facility, and a mixed-use form of development, which includes residential uses, commercial office, together integrated. Also point out that a big part of that conversation is going to be around affordable housing and how we can integrate affordable housing into rapid transit, which is a very affordable form of getting around versus owning an automobile.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now I actually have two more questions because Mr. Fleming has created a second one. I just want a little bit of clarity. When you talk about integrating affordable housing, is that going to look at integrating geared to income housing as well?
Well, we're just now starting that secondary planning process. So certainly everything's on the table and the opportunity to have that kind of conversation is in there. So affordable housing of different types. And as you said, RGI is a possibility as well.
Thank you. And this will be my last question, Mr. Chair. I want to leave time for the mayor to get in on a second round here. We heard, and through you, I guess this question will be to Ms. Ramsey. We heard the potential for the East Link to connect to the airport and then onto Argyle Mall. I'm concerned about the word potential. Frankly, I hear from my constituents that they don't want to be left out. If we are going to do this, they want to be included. And I know that the preliminary assessment of routes early on indicated that the ridership coming out of Argyle Mall was just as high as the ridership coming out of Cherry Hill Mall. That Argyle was not included because the Fanshawe ridership outweighed the Argyle ridership. So in terms of the potential, and I like the idea of going out to the airport because it connects to jobs as well as to our international airport and the desire to have people using our airport. But what sort of feasibility study has gone into, what kind of consideration has gone into this extension in mixed-use traffic beyond Fanshawe? Because to me, that's a really important part of my consideration on the East Link.
And through the chair, I think potential reflects the fact that it is really such a fluid and flexible ability to be able to adjust how local transit connects in to the endpoints of the rapid transit system. So with respect to potential service connections between Argyle Mall and Fanshawe, one of the conventions that we have for this system is that any directly connecting local routes would be no more than 2 times the headway of the RT system. So during peak times, if the east leg is running at 5-minute spacing on buses, that would mean that any direct connecting local service that draws people from Argyle to Fanshawe would be at 10-minute spacings on those buses. And so that's something that going from in terms of a local perspective. As far as the airport, again, I was suggesting that down the road, if you wanted to look at options to actually use the rapid transit vehicles rather than a connecting local service bus, you could continue those buses beyond Fanshawe in mixed traffic. And again, that wouldn't require the capital cost of extending dedicated lanes. It would really just be an additional operating cost.
Just a really quick follow-up on that then, because what you were saying for the airport buses made a lot of sense to me. Would that extension also be possible, obviously not only on the east route, but on other routes, but on the east route, a possibility for Argyle Mall as well, that every 3rd bus might go there and then come back?
Again, I think the system is meant to be flexible. We have that ability to be able to, because they're buses, take them beyond. Again, you'd have to look at those service balances and say, what is the cost benefit of extending a rapid transit bus to do that job or connecting with a local service bus? And so I think that's something that is part of the annual service review and how local service integrates with RT. They'd be looking at balancing those different options.
Any committee members who are